Good morning. We are going to be replacing the brake rotor and the brake shoes on a 2018 Impala. The procedure is a little bit different than the front brakes. We have this bolt and the other one's right there. Those are 13 millimeter to get that caliper off. And then there are two 18 millimeter bolts, one up top and one, I can't see, but down below, and they'll actually hold this bracket on here. So we'll go ahead and get those removed, and then we'll start getting that disc off. But the first two bolts are 13 millimeter and the other two are 18 millimeter. So let's get those off and then we'll go from there. All right, I got the two 13 millimeter bolts removed. The first thing you want to do is get your caliper off. It may be a little snug. These don't decompress like the front brakes. They require a special tool to decompress them. But yeah, caliper's gonna be a little tight, but it will come off. Just take it, pry it loose, and then kind of set it aside so you don't put no pressure on your flexible brake line. Then you want to check your slide pins, make sure they're moving easily. And now would be a good time to pull them pins out and re-grease them if you think you need to. Mine, I'm not going to. They move freely, and be honest, I'm not sure how long I'm gonna keep the car, but I'm not gonna. Mine move freely. I'm not gonna mess with taking them apart and re-greasing them. But by all means, you probably should, especially if you live up north in a salty condition. All right, let's go ahead and now we're gonna take this 18 millimeter bolt out, and then the other one is right here. So we'll get them two out and then get this bracket off the way so out of the way so we can get our rotor off. Okay. We got to take that little set screw out to get the disc off, just like on the front brakes. It too is a T30. With it being a front wheel drive car, there's nothing to keep the wheel from rotating while trying to get that off. I have found that just using a hammer, wooden handle across the studs to take it loose will be the easiest way to do it. I'll need two hands to do that, but it's not very tight. There's no Loctite on it, so it'll come out pretty, or it should come out pretty easy. Now in the northern state where you have to deal with a lot of rust, may be a different story, but yeah, that's all that it'll take to get that disc off. All right, well, as you can see, I got my little screw out. Just the disc just comes right off. Pretty simple. However, I'm gonna take a little wire brush and hit these edges so that when I go to put the new disc on there, it doesn't get pushed out one way or the other and cause it to kind of wobble when it rolls. So polish this so it'll lay down flat. And I just got the little old Milwaukee 18-volt screw gun that does just fine. And I'm using a Bosch rotor. Me personally, I don't know which brand is better or whatever. I just found a pretty good deal on them online. I'm not promoting nobody or knocking nobody. I found a good deal on Rock Auto, so that's where I bought them. And they came with the pads as well. So anyway, it's just a matter of putting that little screw back in, hold that rotor in place, and then we'll start putting that back bracket back on. And like I said, you know, this thing wasn't real tight. It doesn't have to be real tight, but I just hold it with the hammer handle and just snug it up. And that's all that takes right there. Now what I'm doing is I'm just going to go ahead and get my pads out of the bracket, and I have no idea what this video is looking like, so, but just take the little clips off like so. The brake pads come with new clips, so I'll put them on and then put the new pads on. And then I'll set this back inside. There's no top or bottom. They both go on the same way. They're both the same. So they do have these little alignment tabs. So it's not too hard to, you can't really mess this up, I guess what I'm saying. And they just go on like so. Now the brake pads are pretty similar. You'll have one with the noise maker. It'll go on the back side towards the piston. So as you can see, this is the way it's going to go. So the one with the noise maker will go to the back side. Just a matter of getting them in. New clips make them a little snug. Once you get them in, I like doing it like this because it's easier to get them on like this now than it is when it's on the car. And then it's just a matter of setting it back in place. And then I use red Loctite, red thread locker on the bolts for the back side. Now if I can figure out where I laid them. One thing I did fail to mention is that that bolt and nut right there do get in the way a little bit, but they will go in and they will come out. So you just got to kind of work with them a little bit to get them in and get them out. Okay, everything's back on and tight. Now, in order to get that caliper back on, we got to compress that piston. Now, unlike the front pistons, where you would just stick a screwdriver or whatever in there and just compress that back, you can't do that with these. They actually screw in on a right-hand thread, like a standard thread. They just turn clockwise. Now, they make special tools for that you can rent at O'Reilly's or AutoZone. But there's another little old tool, and it's a brake piston tool. Like 15 bucks, and you'll have it in your toolbox. For most of us, this is probably a one-time job, but that's what the little tool looks like. And it's got 4 sides, and you just find the one that fits your piston caliper, and it's just a matter of putting it, getting it lined up, and it's just like tightening a bolt. You just put a little pressure on it and twist, and you'll see that the wheel cylinder turns. Now, you do have to be careful because this rubber boot sometimes will stick to the piston and try and twist with the piston. And if you're not careful, you'll tear it up. And ask me how I know. Yeah, because I done that on the other side. So now I'm waiting on a seal kit to come in so I can put a new seal on my piston. But it's looking like this one is gonna turn without taking the seal with it. And it turns fairly easy, you know. Now, what you do want to make sure of is when you get this all the way in, and you want to make sure it's clocked up and down just like that. Take a look at how yours is before you start this and put it back just like it was. They should be straight up and down, vertical like that, or horizontal depending on the angle of the caliper. But you get what I mean. It needs to be back just like that. So let me go ahead and crank on this a little bit, and it don't take but about 2 or 3 turns to get it back in place. And you know, you just got to put a little pressure on it as you twist it. But as you twist, you want to stop and check this boot to make sure you're not twisting it with you. See how it's trying to twist there? So just be aware of that. And since it's starting to twist with me, I'm just simply gonna tug on it and let it get back into place. And ever so often you can check to see, it looks like I need to make one more turn with that. Well, no, I got to go a little more, but each time you turn it, you know, check that boot and keep it straight so you don't tear it up like I did. Just take your time, be patient with it. So you ain't having to rebuild your caliper, or worst case scenario, having to buy another one and then get somebody to help you bleed the brakes. I guess it's taking more turns than I thought. We still got a little ways to go. Like I said, be mindful of this boot so you ain't having to replace it or replace the caliper. I've never rebuilt one of these calipers, so I guess when I get my boot kit in, I'll find out how bad it's going to be. You know, I know for a one-time job, this little tool's okay, but I kind of wish I'd have rented the other one. But, you know, for 15 bucks and a one-time use, more than likely. Now, if I was running a shop, no, definitely get the proper tool. But we're getting closer. I guess it takes several turns. Just about there. Almost. Maybe one more round. But you just want to apply pressure to it as you're twisting. I mean, it is snug, but just keep a downward pressure on it. And I do believe that's going to go, but I think I need to go one more half turn because it's really snug going on. But I do want to be careful of that, because see, actually I need to be careful of that boot now that is getting really close, but I need to back it off just a little bit. But if I do, it definitely won't go on. So I'm gonna go another half turn, and that should get me on the pads and the disc. But now I need to really be careful with that rubber boot. Because as you see, it's trying to twist up. And there we are. Now we're on, and it rotates, so we're good. Now it's just a matter of, once again, thread locker. I suggest using some, I don't care what color, red, blue, whatever you got on hand. My Ram 3500, the last time I did a brake job on it, I didn't put no thread locker on it. And the bolts came out. And, well, one bolt came out. So that when I was braking, the top one came out. So when I was braking in reverse, the caliper would actually pull away from the disc like so, and was rubbing the inside of my wheel. So you definitely want to be mindful of that. But anyway, after you get your Loctite on, you want to get your bolts in and get them started. And then come back with the ratchet and snug them up. And me, like I said, it's just a 13 millimeter. And I have no idea what the torque specs is, but I just get it good and tight. And I just hit it with my hand until it's good and snug. And there you have it. Now it's just a matter of getting that bottom one done. Now, this bottom one, depending on the situation, I don't know if that'll really show you, but the ratchet hits that brake line right there. So you do have a little interference there, and might want to be mindful of that. All right, well, I hope this video helped you, and I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe button. And if you got any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to ask or tell me what you think. Anyway, I appreciate you watching if you watched all the way to the end. Thank you, and have a great day.